Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Uprising is the truth from the streets of Gotham. I am coming to you somewhere in the outskirts of Gotham City beneath Wayne Manor. What about this? We've been covering the Epstein story for, 2 years now. And this just came out, right? Judge approves deal for Epstein guards to avoid jail time. Now, okay, this is relevant to the story, but I'm going to show you in a sec why, again, this story is going to have more deliberate nothing in it to distract us. What do I say about that? What have I said from day one, right? When they first arrested him, I said, oh boy, I said, he's either going to get some little slap on the wrist sweetheart deal like he got in 2009 in Florida from William Acosta, who gave him a sweetheart deal, who was then put in Trump's cabinet. Or if they deny his bail, he's not going to make it out of jail. They're going to kill him in prison. And I was right when that happened. And the day before he died, hung himself with a paper t-shirt, totally realistic. They unsealed a bunch of documents. So I was like, oh, that now he's dead. And the real thing, it's been 2 years. The FBI seized all these, we saw the videos, the FBI wheeling out files and photos and file cabinets and hard drives. Where is all that? We don't know. Ghislaine Maxwell got arrested last year and her trial isn't set until November. It's supposed to be this summer. Now it's November of this year. Okay. And Trump wished her well. So one of the things I said is and if he dies in prison, they'll try to put it on I said they're going to use the Gilligan excuse, old TV series, Gilligan's Island, where he was always fumbling like, whoops, boink, how did this happen? And that's what we have with these two guards. With the videotape footage, we can't find the video of his cell. We don't know what happened to it. And these two guards, and I'm not putting it on these guards. I mean, the fact that there's all these powerful people involved who have committed atrocious crimes of raping and selling children. And there's all this hard evidence. So these two guards, when they arrest, these are the only people that have been arrested. This was prior to the arresting of Ghislaine Maxwell. So now Maxwell's been arrested, but we haven't really seen her in custody. I think that she's in custody, but we haven't seen any mugshots. It's always like a sketch drawing of a Zoom thing. Why can't we see that? Why is she so hidden? So these two guards were like online shopping or whatever. And maybe they probably weren't giving a shit. But the focus I'm going to show you is on these guards, and now they're getting a pardon, which they probably should get a pardon. I don't know. But it's a distraction from real evil people like Les Wexner. I've talked about him a lot, but we're going to go a little deeper today about why he's so clearly tied to Epstein and is the head of the snake, as Maria Farmer said. Maria Farmer is a Epstein victim who has come forward. She did a lengthy interview with Whitney Webb last year. I played some of that interview. So these are the two guards. Noel and Thomas were accused of sleeping and surfing the internet when they were supposed to be watching Epstein on August 10th, 2019. That's when he died, a little less than 2 years ago. They were subsequently charged with falsifying records over attempts they had made to persuade prosecutors that they had checked on the prisoner. So they were sleeping, watching the internet. Nobody paid attention. And they're trying to hang it on these people. Maybe. How did this happen? I don't think these two guards are in on it at all. Or somebody just made sure and they got rid of the footage. Again, this article is such a distraction. Not that this isn't relevant, but where is the footage? Why was the camera not working? What happened to that footage? It just miraculously disappeared? This guy was on suicide watch and then wasn't, and they put two guards, do these guards have a history of sort of not giving a shit? And were they deliberately put on duty? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't believe these two were paid to look the other way. I think they put all of these things in place. They were like, yeah, we'll have those 2 guards on duty. They're not paying attention. Let's get somebody in there, kill them. We'll get the footage done. I think it's like that. But again, talking to the guards or the thing, it's a distraction from what? From what? From people like Les Wexner. What we know and what we don't know about retail mogul. This is from July 2019. So after Epstein had been arrested, before he was, killed himself, hung himself with a paper t-shirt, totally realistic. I believe it. Mogul Les Wexner's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. For at least a decade, the man behind Victoria's Secret and The Limited was a disgraced financier and accused sex trafficker's only known client. None of this. So this is 2 years ago and nobody's reporting on this anymore. And so the Hill, and this Hill article is, it's 300 words or something. It's like a couple of paragraphs. Oh, they've been pardoned. They initially lied. They came forward and said, we lied. It's part of their plea deal. They came forward and said, yeah, we lied. We falsified records to say we were watching when we weren't. Okay. The guy shouldn't, they're getting community service or whatever, which they shouldn't go in jail. Look, if Les Wexner's not going in jail, if Prince Andrew's not going in jail, if Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are not going in jail, then these folks shouldn't go in jail. It's that I'm okay with this plea deal. But I want to be real clear. This is part of what we've talked about for the last 2 years. This is a distraction. It is this distraction. Why aren't we having more articles about this? They talked about Les Wexner 2 years ago. They talked about Bill Clinton. They talked about Donald Trump. And then we haven't really gone into that anymore. So I'm going to go into Les Wexner. Specifically, I've shown you, Bill Clinton flight log show he's been on the plane 26 times. Hillary 2 times. They were at his compound in New Mexico numerous times. Ghislaine Maxwell was at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Trump, people were trafficked out of Mar-a-Lago. He hired William Acosta and Barr, who had ties to Epstein. Good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein for years. There's no way Trump at least didn't know. Is Trump a pedophile? I don't know, but at least he knew. And this QAnon bullshit that he's going to arrest him, he didn't. He had 4 years. He could have, and he didn't. It's bullshit. And then he said, I'm going to wish you well to Ghislaine Maxwell. Ties to Prince Andrew, who we know is a filthy pedophile Epstein pal. So let's talk about Les Wexner, though, who is a billionaire mogul who created Victoria's Secret. Wexner is a founder, chair, and CEO of L Brands, the Ohio-based conglomerate that owns Victoria's Secret, Pink, and Bath and Body Works. He's worth $4.8 billion, according to Forbes. And for at least a decade, he was Epstein's only publicly known client. So here's what we know. Through Maria Farmer, she was trafficked to Wexner, said he was a monster. He's the head of the North American snake. Those are her words. There's no investigation into that. When she came forward in the late 90s, she said she was treated worse by the FBI than she was by Wexner and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So why isn't this being talked about by the media? Okay. But then let's talk about this. The only client is very significant because I've talked about this a lot. How did Epstein get his wealth? He had this fake hedge fund with one client, Les Wexner. He has no publicly traded anything. There's no documentation to show that he had a legitimate hedge fund. No investments, no nothing. Just one client, Les Wexner. We've had Whitney Webb on this show to talk about how people were flown into Ohio. Ohio is like a sex trafficking hub. Weird. Les Wexner lives there. But his only client for at least 10 years, but these guys have known each other since the 80s. In May 1997, Jeffrey Epstein posed as a talent scout for his Victoria's Secret, the multi-billion-dollar lingerie giant owned by Les Wexner's L Brands, in order to lure model named Alicia Arden to his hotel room. This is also significant because we know just in general with trafficking that the modeling world, Trump owned a modeling agency. Epstein had a modeling agency, but used this 97. And Ghislaine Maxwell used this. She was also a recruiter. In addition to being a pedophile and a sex trafficker and just an overall monster, they would use this to like, oh, there's an attractive, 14-year-old girl. Hey, you want to be a model? That's how they would do. Jean-Luc Brunel, who's also been arrested for being a pedophile and a sex trafficker, modeling. Peter Nygaard. So the modeling world there isn't like a couple of few bad apples. It's really prevalent in the modeling world. And we know I've done videos on Jean-Luc Brunel and Peter Nygaard, all in the modeling world. Probably knew Wexner. Definitely knew Epstein. Jean-Luc Brunel visited Epstein's. There's photos I've shown you of him and Ghislaine Maxwell goofing it up on Epstein's horrific pedophile island. But Les Wexner, as Maria Farmer said, he's the head of the North American snake. Those are very key words. The Wexner link, though, is well documented. SEC filings from the early 1990s through mid-2000s list Epstein as one of 3 trustees of the Wexner Foundation, as well as several of Wexner's other prosaically named charitable organizations, including Art Interests, Health and Science Interests, Health and Science Interests 2, the Wexner Children's Trust 2, and the International Charitable Interests. Now, I've also showed you on this show that a lot of these sex trafficking pedophile billionaires use non-for-profits. We know like the Clinton Foundation is used for awful stuff. Ghislaine Maxwell had a like Save the Oceans Foundation that had a thing to teach children on how to, keep the oceans clean or whatever. She folded that up in the spring of 2019. So that they got word, the ruling class elites, the predatory billionaire pedophile class was like, the hammer's coming down on Epstein, So she closes up her foundation. But Les Wexner has these, and they always involve kids. And are there charitable foundations that help kids that are doing legitimate work? Absolutely. But when it's tied to these awful billionaires that have ties to Epstein, that's when the red flags go up. Epstein also attained his Manhattan residence, a 7-story, 21,000 square foot mansion that's been called one of the city's largest private homes, through Wexner. That's the penthouse that Prince Andrew went to visit, that we saw video footage of Prince Andrew coming out of that home. He got it from Wexner. See, these awful billionaires just do whatever they want. That's why no one's being prosecuted. And this story that I found about Wexner is from 2 years ago. There's no current stuff talking about him. So that's why we get a story about the guards and then this and then that. And, Ghislaine Maxwell says she's not being treated fairly in prison. Okay, fine. But we're not talking about all of these powerful people. And the reason Maxwell hasn't been killed in prison is she has got some type of kill switch evidence on all these people. She's an evil, horrible, cunning person. And I bet you she's like, anything happens to me, this hard drive goes out in public and everyone will see it. And there's probably awful stuff on there. But back to filthy Les Wexner. Don't buy Victoria's Secret stuff. I know it's great. As a guy, I've loved dating women that shop there, but don't give them your money. His relationship, Wexner, with Epstein dates back to the late 1980s, according to the profiles in New York Magazine and Vanity Fair. The former, which refers to Wexner as the money manager's patron and mentor. So we know this too. This is what Epstein would do. This is how he worked his fake hedge fund, where Wexner is his only client, but people would just give money. These two were clearly working together, and Wexner was probably helping Epstein get girls and vice versa using the Victoria's Secret angle. And there's all this awful footage of all these Victoria's Secret, runway shows where Maxwell's there, Epstein's there, Trump's there, just awful. They're all awful. Arrest them all. But this is what So, and the tactic that Epstein would use, and we talked about this for several years now. We've talked about, so Epstein would have some party at one of his places, and a butler would come up and say, "Hey, would you like him?" To some powerful man, politician, wealthy, whatever, and say, "Would you like a massage, from a beautiful young woman?" The guy'd say, "Yeah." And then there would be sex, and it was a child, it was an underage person. They'd have videotape of it and be like, "Now we got you. So now you're going to work for us," or whatever. Maybe the CIA would get involved. And because Acosta, we know this, said to back off, to go easy on Epstein in 2009 in his Florida case, because Epstein got arrested for sex with a minor. So Acosta was told, and Acosta said this in an interview, that Epstein was in like a CIA or intelligence asset and he should go easy on him. And then weird, Trump picks him for his cabinet. They're all working together. They're all part of it. That's what this is all about. It's more distractions from stuff like this. There's Epstein. There's Bill Gates. There's Jess Stanley, for the former CEO, Staley, former CEO of Barclays and JP Morgan Chase, the former Secretary of Treasury, Bill Gates, and Boris Nikolic, who's put in charge, the executor of Epstein's will, who was in charge of the money at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Here's Bill Gates' flight log being on Epstein's plane. Here's all the photos with Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. Look at her. Where he says, "Oh, I wish her well." Naomi Campbell, who's been listed by several people. Again, a model. She was like a mean recruiter. Why aren't we talking about Trump? Why aren't we talking about Les Wexner? Why aren't we talking about Bill Gates? Why aren't we talking about Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell right there? And there's Victoria Roberts when she was a child. Why aren't we talking about Ghislaine Maxwell at Chelsea Clinton's wedding? There she is right there. There's Bill. Chelsea, we're all supposed to believe, oh, they didn't know. This was in 2011. This is 2 years after she settled out of court because she was named in 2009. They knew who she was. So this is just more distraction. And why isn't the corporate media talking about? Because the corporate media, who owns the corporate media? It's all these awful billionaires. Victoria's Secret buys ad time. These are 2 ex-presidents. These are the most powerful people in the world. The royal family, the Saudi royal family. These are awful people that rape and sell children, and they can get away with it because they're this powerful. And this should be called out, and it's not. I will. And YouTube's going to demonetize me and this and that, but support what we do at Rockfin. You guys keep supporting me. I'll keep bringing you the truth. We've been demonetized. We're in our February, March, April. We're on our 4th month of being demonetized. Got a copyright strike against me. I did it talking about Bill Gates not wanting to release the patent for the COVID vaccine and his ties to Epstein. That video, they just pulled it. Got a copyright strike from a video I put up a year ago. What's going on? So we got a Patreon page. Go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood to support us. It's blockchain, it's cryptocurrency. Also, May 30th, Sunday, I have a show. If you're on an island of Oahu in Hawaii, I'm doing the Blue Note in Waikiki. May 30th, one show, 6:30 p.m. Tickets are going fast because there's limited seating because of COVID. But it's a first headlining show. It's a blast. If you're on vacation in Hawaii, check it out. Go to grahamelwood.com for tickets. And Ron Placone and I are going to be announcing more tour dates for September and October. But check that out. Thanks for supporting the show, everybody. Shave your knuckles for justice. Ba-boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at grahamelwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.